Hello, everyone. So, preventing a toxic cycle is hard, yeah, but breaking that cycle once it's in there is almost impossible. That is a very clear theme for this week. Once traditions get put into place, they don't go away very easily. Once a precedent is set, a threshold is crossed, then it takes way more energy to put the cat back in the bag to fix the issue than to not let it happen in the first place, right? This is prevention. This is a theme of life, right? I didn't come up with that. That's well known. It's a principle of life, and it shows that principle in our main topics this week that we're going to discuss, which is going to be SNAP benefits, aka food stamps, and then also an update on the ongoing federal immigration raids in America's cities that I've talked about before. Today is November 1st, 11/1/2025. It's episode 152 of This Week in Tyranny. My name is Konrad Rogoz. This episode is dedicated to my grandparents because it is All Souls Day. So to my grandparents, Wiesław Franczak and Irena Mazurkiewicz. They died 10 years before I was born. But, let me also mention my grandparents on my dad's side as well, right? Just a remembrance as we talk about history and the past and the future. This generation of my grandparents, before I go into that, also, the show is dedicated, let me give a shout out to Red Bull. And this is a nickname for somebody I worked with for a bit who died earlier this year. So to everybody who's not with us anymore, thinking of you. And I'm trying to do a better show. I thought my show last week was a bit lackluster. It was. So I'm trying to give a better presentation this time. Thank you for the opportunity to do it, right? So this generation of my grandparents, these are people who lived through Nazi occupation, through the Nazi invasion, later occupation, then after them, the Soviet communism. That was a further and long-term terrible, insidious occupation as well. They lived in a time where you could be snatched up in the street at any time, and you could potentially be facing starvation. You could be going hungry. So people were getting sent to Siberia. I mean, it was right there for them, right? So this is well known for me in the history of my family. And then after communism fell, right, we're talking about the 80s and 90s. So, my grandparents. They were still alive at the time, but my mom then, you're talking about when I was born, 96. This is a time where you could be working 3 shifts and you still need government assistance for food. You needed those food stamps then because the government infrastructure was so bad, everything was so corrupt, so non-existent because of decades and decades of occupation and government corruption. That you needed it. My mom needed that government assistance, even though she was working her ass off, So, shout out to her as well. We'll be taking some sips for many people. So now it is 2025, right? And this world is much different than that world in many ways. By the way, you're probably hearing, I turned up my microphone so I don't have to edit it later. So you may be hearing some festive activities next door, which is always nice. Also, let me take a drink for the future generations as well, right? So, that world was much different than the world we live in today. It's definitely different being in America today than being in those actual terrible war situations. But in many ways, there's a resemblance there. This world is starting to resemble that world, right? This is what we talk about on this show to try to prevent the great country of America from becoming like the shitty countries and the war-torn nations all over the world. So let's go into the food stamps, right? There are so many articles and videos I could use as a jumping off point, as a reference point. But this is clearly the biggest story out there today. Let's go to this article. Uncertainty over federal food aid deepens as the shutdown fight reaches a crisis point. So, of course, as you know, the United States government is shut down. Really, there is a breakdown in negotiations between the political parties, and what happens. This is really a recent American phenomenon where the government will say it's shut down. Really, what happens is they stop really, this is a negotiation tactic, right? It's just a chess game where we are the pawns, the people are the pawns. So um, we didn't think of this when we used to hear about the government shutdowns because it wasn't a big deal. It would last for a day or two, and other than people who are working for the government and those kinds of specific situations, it wouldn't affect people, right? Now it affects people because as we head into November 1st today, people's food stamps, their benefit cards, are not being refilled. So people are running out of food. They're getting no money on their cards. So let's see what they're saying here. This is an AP article. The crises at the heart of the government shutdown fight in Washington were coming to a head Saturday as the federal food assistance program faced delays and millions of Americans were set to see a dramatic rise in their health insurance bills. That's something I didn't even talk about. So, yeah, there are a lot of layers to this government shutdown thing, some of which I touched on in that lackluster episode last week. That while they're not going to refill your cards, they're definitely not going to stop collecting taxes, right? So it's not really a shutdown. It is just a shutdown of some aspects of what they do. The impacts on basic needs, food, and medical care underscored how the impasse is hitting homes across the United States. Plans by the Trump administration to freeze payments to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that's SNAP. On Saturday, they were halted by federal judges, but the delay in payouts will still likely leave millions of people short on their grocery bills. So, this is a theme I've touched on many times before, right? That the federal judges come out and they say that this was unlawful, and then it all turns around. There's so much having to do with judges' rulings, and I have a big problem with this because the result is that nothing is final. Everything seems to be temporary, and this is why when I was sounding the alarm on the assault weapons ban in Illinois, after it got challenged by the courts 2-3 times, people were saying, don't worry about it, they'll sue them and the courts will reverse it. Well, one time they didn't, and assault weapons are banned in Illinois. I live in a state where you cannot have an AR-15. Now, was I able to get my hands on things like that? That's the thing. Just because that law didn't affect you does not mean we shouldn't be sounding the alarm on it, right? Just because food stamp benefits they don't affect you does not mean it's time to point and laugh and say, hey, you should have decided different, sucks to be you. Because I have a big problem with this, but let me kind of like draw the line right up front before I lose anybody who may be a new viewer, doesn't know where I stand on food stamps, right? I don't support any government programs. I am an anarchist. I'm an anarchist under natural law, so I believe in people just leaving me alone. I'm going to be fine. Give me an opportunity to take care of my family. Give everybody the same opportunity. And just see what happens. Let the free market handle it, because I don't believe that if you were to take off all of the government controls and all of this stuff, I don't believe that people in their nature are animals. They're not going to fall into a zero-sum game where the poor and the elderly are going to starve. That does not come from the basic human being is not morally decrepit in that way. I don't buy that worldview, okay? So that's where I stand, okay? But I also definitely am on the side of people who are having these food benefits expiring. I am totally in solidarity with all these people who are losing out on this, because it's not that all government programs are coming to an end and it is equal. If that was the case, I would not take this position. But as we got a ballroom being made of the White House, and taxes are still being collected, and sales taxes on everything, but so because of this government shutdown, a certain section of the population, they're not receiving food stamps. I'm absolutely on the side of the people for them to get that. And this is why you don't give people long-term programs, actually, because they become dependent on them. This just shows the issue. You don't give people long-term food assistance because they become dependent on them. I mean, you got a cat who can hunt. He can basically make his own meal. You got an animal that can survive in the wild. But if you keep feeding them and they learn how to live on the couch and they stop going outside, well, they become dependent on them. I mean, it's the same thing with us, with human beings. When we don't have to earn our next meal, we start to get we start to become couch potatoes. I don't know the articulate word to describe what I'm saying, but I think you get it already, so I won't spend too much time on it. We become domesticated is what it is, and we become dependent on a chemical. This is the reason why people get addicted, and also why, if you drink coffee every day, you get the kick of caffeine or Red Bull, right? You get the caffeine, but after a time, when that caffeine implements itself into your system, that boosting effect starts to become normal. It settles into a homeostasis, right? So then it becomes part of your body's functioning. So then if you were to stop drinking it one day, right after becoming used to it, then you get the withdrawal symptoms. Instead of not only do you not get a boosting effect, you, just to maintain that baseline, are going to need that chemical. And if you take away that chemical, you are now, instead of being at a baseline, you are now at a deficit. And that's where we're at. So, but anyway, there are food stamps. We have made people dependent on food stamps. And it's not all black and white, right? There are a lot of factors there, and I'm not going to claim to know to speak for everybody, and I don't know how many people are selling their food stamps, how many people are buying just soda and bullshit with them, because that's not the point. The point is, this has become a long-term practice, and these people are expecting their food to come from here. They think we've all agreed that this is the way it is done for many, many years, and now what you're doing is threatening somebody's food supply. Right or wrong, this is how they're going to take it. And if you threaten somebody's food, after we've already accepted that convention that we are going to feed this group of people, the government is going to handle this. It's a trade-off, right? It's a trade-off for all of the other things that are your obligations as a citizen, right? With taxes and following all these rules and so on and so forth. Because, some of these people that are getting food stamps, they're not homeless. They're driving a car. They're paying that fucking sticker fee. They're paying all the other fees that just come from living in the world, living in the city. Those conventions are there. They're established. And then once you threaten that to take it away, once you start messing with somebody's plate and their next meal, it approaches theft. It may not be outright theft, like if you went and stole somebody's money out of their wallet, but it's right there. It's approaching that. And even though nobody's actually entitled to a government handout, true, but once you state that a group of people is entitled to something, and then you sustain and nurture that claim for years and years, then their claim to those food stamps becomes very strong. It's not as strong as my 50 hours a week, and the wages to my job, right? I could say that I own that actually belongs to me, whereas here, it's not earned, right? We have to say that it's not earned. It's not a trade-off for work, but it is something that is established. It's implied. It's explicit, actually. So they have a substantial claim to it, and now you're going to take it away all of a sudden. I see. This is very low to me. This is very, it just rubs me the wrong way. And I think it's hard for me to find the right words for it. But this is just lowbrow shit, man, to be messing with these people. To be cutting corners there and be trying to use people as a negotiating pawn there. Because, You think about all the money that is going to the military and the defense spending. It completely dwarfs all of the food assistance. We could totally solve homelessness by doing away with property taxes and things like that. Just the programs that are there for homeless people, you could actually put them on universal basic income, which I'm of course against. But there's so much money being thrown away, and a lot of you guys thought that Doge was going to address all of the money burning that was going on in the United States. Well, go no further than going to I'll actually show you now, since we're here. Let's do this in real time. This is one thing I did not include. You want to talk about a money burning operation, just go to ice.gov, which I haven't done yet, right? I haven't done yet, but I did follow a link. ice.gov, maybe let's go /jobs. Maybe that will lead to something. No, it's not. So let me look it up. Let me do this differently, because I saw the links to all of the job listings. ICE job openings. They should change it to NICE, my brother said, the National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And then there'll be the NICE. There'll be NICE jobs. It won't just be ICE jobs. That'll be much better. This is it. This is what I wanted to show you. America needs you. Here's retired law enforcement officers. No. It was actually much more simpler and simple-minded than this. It was this. There you go. ice.gov/join. Due to a lapse in federal funding, this website will not be actively managed. Interesting, right? $50,000 signing bonus, $60,000 student loan repayment, right? There you go. Deportation officer. These are the guys. This is it. This is who I'm talking about. These are the people you see with their faces covered and who are getting zip ties to work with, and there are other jobs as well. Is there a cost or fee to apply? Of course, no, there isn't. Can recent graduates with no law enforcement experience apply? Yes. Yes, of course. Of course they can, because they're looking for the simple. They're looking for the simple-minded. They're looking for the simple morally, and so on and so forth. So, you talk about money burning. There it is, right? Now, to shift gears here for a bit, what this really is with the immigration enforcement is it's a war on free market, which we have seen because a lot of these raids, they're at the hardware stores, they're at work sites. Who are they? Who are they attacking? Who are they targeting? The Hispanic community? Is that not who does most of the work? Most of these jobs, the landscaping jobs, the construction jobs. Of course, you got the Polish people here wrapped up in that as well. We know many people who have been deported, in my line of work. Like, people I know, this is an attack on America's economy. It's a demoralization of America. Where's Yuri Bezmenov, right? About subversion and the Soviet subversion. I mean, what better way to destroy capitalism than to make people fearful about the economy, fearful about institutions and funding being available for the next day, being fearful about going to the store, paying more money to military enforcement in the streets, and taking away the money from actual productive work, because that's not productive work, right? That kind of enforcement is not productive work. It's just enforcement. It's just like an inspector, right? You could say these guys are fucking inspectors. Well, an inspector is not going to do shit. They're not doing any work. At best, they can encourage the people who are the actual producers to be better at their production. Is that happening? No, you're losing workers. Things are going to be more expensive. Things are going to not work as well. That's just the way it is. It's definitely the way it is in my city of Chicago, and this is in other cities all over the country. Really, I see New York, Portland, Los Angeles, parts of California as being kind of the beta test, the testing grounds for what is going to be implemented throughout the country and throughout the world. But it is tailored to America. This is tailored to America because this is the capitalist nation, and this is because of the free market. This is the last outpost of freedom, right? And this is an attack on freedom. Military presence at the stores. It's like having soldiers at the marketplace. I mean, the Soviets would have dreamed of this. I mean, this is a Marxist Leninist dream, what is going on in the United States of America. They're discouraging the business of, yes, illegal immigrants, but not only that, right? Because it's not only the illegal immigrants who are scared to move and are not engaging in the economy as much, because the legal immigrants have also seen the videos and heard the stories. They know that there's a chance of them being thrown and snatched off the street, thrown into a van, or at least questioned and stopped on the street, right? So you don't think that's going to affect them? I mean, people choose not to go to your website when it takes more than one click to do it. So you don't think that the potential of them being questioned on the street is going to make them think twice before they go to Home Depot or Menards? I mean, even U.S. citizens who are not comfortable with the language. Not every U.S. citizen is a fluent speaker. I mean, I think there's a claim to be made that most U.S. citizens are not that comfortable with the English language. But beside the fact, for many reasons, you may just avoid that because you don't want the potential of being stopped or wrapped up in something, wrapped up in a scuffle and getting tear gassed. I mean, this is a high potential. This is not like a 2% chance. This is like a 20-30% chance. That's how I would be viewing it. So it's a real risk, The real reason they're targeting the immigrants is because they are the unregistered. The unregistered, I'm going to be saying that a lot more. This is about registration and documentation. It's not about anything moral. It's not about the border invasion. It's about dealing with the unregistered. Biometric surveillance has long been a desire of governments. It's been a desire of someone. I'm not saying the local politicians, and I'm not saying Trump's been thinking about this, but this is like Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, long and long. They've wanted this. This has come from the think tanks, from the... let me mention a few. Like you talk about Tavistock Institute, you talk about Club of Rome, Council on Foreign Relations, World Economic Forum, United Nations. This is the global government. This agenda has been stewing. They've been pushing for it. They've been wanting this. A lot of you know about Peter Thiel and Palantir, right? It's become increasingly popular, that knowledge of Trump's connections and associations with Israeli spy corporations among them, right? I even saw that on MSNBC lately. In very unlikely places, you're seeing that being discussed. Well, here's an article that I wanted to share with you from The Independent. Well, let me switch over here to my window. I'm getting better at this, guys. From The Independent, which as you can see is not really all that independent. You see I got this little top bar here. It's ground news. And they show you a percentage of this article where it leans. They have some kind of algorithm that calculates that, and you kind of see their bias. So you see they're left leaning, as most media is, right? Now, what is the title again? Trump gives green light for $2 million ICE deal with notorious Israeli spyware company. Trump administration appeared to restart the frozen Biden-era deal with Paragon Solutions. Not Palantir, but Paragon. Very, very similar. Now, their products have been accused of facilitating the surveillance of journalists and activists, of course. You see, this is September 2nd, so this is 2 months ago now. Time flies, doesn't it? The Trump administration appears to have unfrozen a stalled $2 million Biden-era contract with Paragon Solutions, Inc., a spyware company founded in Israel, whose products have been accused of facilitating the surveillance of journalists and activists. They made me read it twice. On Saturday, a public procurement database showed a stop work order on the September 2024 deal with ICE, with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It has been lifted. The deal does not specify what ICE will be getting as part of the deal beyond describing an agreement for A fully configured proprietary solution including licensed hardware, warranty, maintenance, and training. Which basically means nothing, right? This is like when you're writing up a contract and you just need to put a couple of good words together to sound professional. But let me tell you what I think they're giving them is they're just giving them software and infrastructure for surveillance, very clearly. What else would they be doing, right? Whether it's an app, whether it's a face scanning technology, whether it's a network, you know, that's what they're getting. And here you see these guys, right? You see these guys. You see these guys are not actual cops, right? Blue jeans, regular shoes, EROs, enforcement and removal operations. These bulletproof vests that say police on them, they're not actually police. I don't know if these are zip ties right here. I don't know if you're seeing my cursor. You should be. Yeah, they can take you and snatch you, but this reminds me a lot of what the cartels act like in Mexico and Latin America. They definitely look the part, but they are not trained law enforcement officers. The initial deal was paused in October to review whether it complied with our March 2023 Biden administration executive order limiting the use of commercial spyware that could pose counterintelligence risks to the U.S. or that might be improperly used by a foreign government. I remember reporting on this. I remember warning against this. Like, yeah, sure, Biden's going to ban it. I remember kind of grilling him for that, and that it was never intended to put a real dent or a real stop on this technocratic advance. And seeing what turned out is how it turned out. It's very clear that it's a setup, right? It was intended to fail, so then they could repeal a Biden era thing, which makes conservatives support it, which makes this go off without a hitch. Definitely a lot more smoothly than if Trump just came out with this deal himself, right? It would be better if it was done by Biden than stopped by Biden and not reversed. Back to the article, critics warned of potential risks from the U.S. engaging with Paragon, whose graphite program can quietly invade the mobile phone of its target and extract its contents, primarily through accessing cloud backup data. So basically, this is just they're accessing your phone. They're stealing your phone data, your photos, which have location, which have timestamps and all that. I have to admit, I have an iPhone and I have this. I think at the moment I'm not using iCloud in that sense, but it's all basically being uploaded to the cloud. I'm sure I know some of it has, and I've used it before, but I knew it at the time. I've always known that if you're using a cloud anything, people have your information. I've known that. I'm under no illusion when they tell you that this is anonymous, and that they don't really see you, that it's stored online somewhere, someone's keeping it, but they're not going to look through it. I mean, when you give somebody something to hold on to, you have to assume they've looked through it. It's interesting, the name graphite. I remember graphite in another context being used during the pandemic. Nanographene, I think, is what I'm thinking of. But anyway, I've heard of this graphite program before. So there's a technocratic, there's a Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Peter Thiel overlap with the current administration, right? This is known by many. It's ignored by the people who haven't turned on this Trump administration yet. So while we talk about that, the DA has used it before. Let me just scroll through this. Paragon bills itself as an ethical cyber firm that only sells to the U.S. and other allied countries. Paragon was founded by this guy, Ehud Schneerson, a former commander of Israel's spying unit, cyber spying unit 8200. In late 2024, AE Industrial Partners, a Florida-based investment group, acquired the company for $500 million, Haaretz reported. So, there's no such thing, by the way, as a former Israeli commander. If you were an Israeli commander, you are an Israeli commander. There's no such thing as foreign, right? But anyway, I'm not gonna even spend too much time talking about Israel and all that, because to some degree, it's all kind of hypothetical, right? I have to stick to the facts. There's clearly an AI technocratic overreach advance coming from the United States government, and they have deals, they have more funding, more equipment given to these paramilitary forces in our streets. It's all resembling what a police state advance would look like. It wouldn't really be the kind that you would expect with somebody showing up at your door to confiscate your guns. It would be a lot more murky, right? With targeting a lesser demographic, targeting the immigrants. Then you're getting used to military presence. Then you have cameras. Then you have AI everywhere and censorship of information, whitewashing of information. This is the way it'll be done. The police state is coming exactly as they said, just not in the way that you'd expect, right? And ironically, Alex Jones, the guy that made Endgame, I remember this is one of those movies, 2008, 2009, that really inspired me, shook me up, woke me up at that time. It's funny that this is the guy being an apologist for Donald Trump now, and the police state is coming as advertised. It's being welcomed through the front door like the Trojan horse of legends. So, as we're up and talking about ICE now, with these troops in the streets, as I mentioned them, it's time for a line in the sand. I got put in a really bad mood last night again. By the way, to anybody, like in the past 2 weeks, if I haven't replied to you and I've been a little distant, been hard to get a hold of lately, I apologize. It's not you. It's just I've kind of had to reset, partially because of my lackluster show and the things that led up to that. And I've been put in a real bad mood partially because of what is going on in the streets in my own city, but also, not to just blame it on that. There's some personal things that I've had to go through. So to everybody who's listening to this, who's still with me, I appreciate you. If I have been busy as well, like with work and personal stuff, so sorry if I haven't gotten back to you. Shout out to Chris Jansen, who sent me a copy of The End of All Evil. Physically sent me a package. We did a song together, which you should check out. Check out his End Evil podcast. We did a song together. Very cool. Escape from the Matrix. And with that being said, let's dive into these guys, these motherfuckers who are playing military in the streets. You motherfuckers are gonna get it. That's what's happening. We've already accepted policing. We've accepted that convention. I've long been against policing in general. Morally and ethically, fundamentally against somebody being able to stop you in the street. I'm fully for dealing with criminals, dealing with bad people, and being able to take them away. For sure. I don't want to protect criminals. I'm not an anarchist in that way. I'm an anarchist in the way that we need to deal with the problems in our communities ourselves and not hide from them, not have them put to the side, not have somebody outsourced, not have that work outsourced to a paramilitary organization, right? But police is one thing now, okay? That convention, that practice of seeing blue lights and pulling over, giving the license over, okay? Giving the proof of insurance. I've done that before. I've even been handcuffed a few times, right? I've been arrested. I've accepted that practice, right? Remember, I talked about this with food stamps. I'm relating it differently here now. Once something becomes practice, it matters, right? It's like if I were to drop this book and somebody picks it up right in front of my face immediately and takes it, I'm going to say, hey, give that back. That's mine. That's not yours. Even though I dropped it, they just picked it up off the floor. I have a very strong claim to that. It's like a 100% foolproof claim. But if I were to drop this book and leave it there, and it's sitting outside for a week, and somebody picks it up, they don't even know it's mine. If I were to come up to that person and treat them the same way, My claim is not that strong. Even though it's technically the same thing. I drop it, they pick it up. But because it's been accepted over time, become uh, uh, embedded into daily functioning, right? Like the interactions with police are. Then when I get pulled over, if I get pulled over, it's not I'm not gonna fight them to the death if I get pulled over, right? I'm just not going to do that. Even though if I wasn't breaking any laws, technically I do have the right to fight back, because I shouldn't be taken away from my life if I really didn't do anything. I didn't, endanger anybody's life. I didn't commit any crimes. I didn't hurt anybody. I harmed no one. So I should be able to fight back against the police, but I will not do that at the way it's currently structured, because we've accepted it as a society. We've accepted it societally. And that's why, even though I don't have to have a license to drive, I don't have to pull over just because somebody flashes some lights at me. I don't respect them. I don't acknowledge the legitimacy of government, right? I don't. But still, these people, they have families. They're living their life according to just the way we do things. So I'm not out to hurt them, okay? That's the police, okay? I won't pull a gun on a police officer because there's a long-standing practice there that people have accepted, and I acknowledge that, okay? I live in the real world. I'm not narrow-minded and out for violence. Even though I've called for armed rebellion, I continue to call for the right to armed rebellion. I don't know how many other people on YouTube are out here openly calling for armed rebellion against these immigration officers in the streets, so-called anybody who's wearing a military uniform in the streets and targeting civilians. We should be in open rebellion against you now, currently. I don't know how many other people are calling for that, but I'm definitely calling for it openly. Me, Konrad Rogoz, and I'll stand on that for sure. But that's not the same as me just going out and wanting to start a war with anybody who's a law enforcement officer, because I draw a distinction there. There's a distinction there, and the distinction is this: there's a long-standing practice with one thing. It happens at least, a cop who is at least carrying out his activities within reason, somewhat within the outer boundaries of the Constitution, right? I would state my case before I did anything. I definitely just wouldn't attack him, right? I definitely don't think I'd have the right to just reach for the pistol and shoot him in the head. These guys who are snatching civilians, women, elderly people in the streets who are just working, not doing anything, profiling them, absolutely. I'll reach for a pistol and shoot them in the head, for sure. And you have the right to do that, 100%. And once we accept this as a convention, we will have less and less of a right to do that. At the moment, I have 100% a right to do that, and so do you. That right is ours, because this is a total overreach. This is not under any United States laws. Or just laws of human behavior, right? We cannot accept this police state government bootlicking bullshit. It should not be accepted. It's not acceptable under any objective law. Absolutely not. And if we accept this, if we don't stop it now, over time it's going to become harder and harder for us to deal with this until we go way, way, way too deep into it. And that's what happened during the Nazi occupation and the Soviet occupation. They should have fought with teeth to the last breathing soul much earlier. They should have done it. And that's what I'm calling for. Do not let this become a long-standing practice, because it's going to get really, really bad. You wonder how it happened with Nazi Germany. People wonder how it happened, how it could have happened that nobody put a stop to them. And the entire country and entire nations were under this. It's because this is how the fuck it happens. It's supported by a large section of the population because they get convinced by propaganda. And most people are stupid as fuck. They're very dumb. They understand some things, but they're very easily led. They're very easily led like sheep because people are, at the end of the day, domesticated. They love the idea of someone else doing violence to somebody, and maybe they'll do some violence themselves because a lot of people actually hate themselves. So they'll beat up their wife, they'll basically beat themselves up, the fucking drinking sugary drinks and basically wasting their time and just being a general person that unfortunately is unhealthy or lazy or apathetic. That's how people are. But people definitely will get someone else to deal with who they believe is the scapegoat to all their problems. So you got a lot of people like that in America now who hate the left. They're sick of the bullshit. They blame the people they've seen on TV represent that bullshit, and now they turn a blind eye and they think these people are cleaning up the country because that's what they want to believe. This is how the police state is set up, and you're going to do that, and you're going to ruin it for the next generation and generations ahead. I will not do that. I will not be ruining life for the generations ahead or for me. I am truly living life. I am living and breathing, and if somebody in some of these bootlickers with the face coverings try to fuck with me, you'll see it on the news, because I will bet my life on it. I will not go quietly. I've been waiting my whole life for this, and here it is. Now I'm mostly focused on doing this philosophically, psychologically, through education, through addressing moral and ethical principles. I don't really want to go out and fight and kill, but everybody is needed in this. We need people sharing food. We need the food banks. We need nurses. We need parents, teaching their children things, right? And getting together with the community. We need some of those protesters who are saying shame, shame, who are recording them, asking for the badge numbers, even though that could never be me. I may disagree with those people on a whole lot of other issues, but at the end of the day, even the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're united on this. This is very important, to not accept this convention of police state, paramilitary, rounding up of civilians, and implementation of biometric surveillance. This is very important. So we need all of those people throughout society, and we also need those people who are just dangerous motherfuckers. And if you push them wrong, you risk your life. You'll get shot dead in the streets. Now I see a big vacuum of those people. I see a big vacuum there. I don't see people doing that yet. I'm glad. It's a good thing that it hasn't happened yet. If needed, I would love to step in and be that guy, because I just want to do what's necessary. That's what a man does. Okay, a man looks at his family, his community, sees where the issue is, and what other people are not willing or able to do, he does it to make everyone around him better. That's what I'm standing for. That's what I'm calling for. Okay. So, I have been against police and military in general in the past, and I still am. But these ICE agents, the Border Patrol, the EROs, on the other hand, they're much different. This is a different beast. A new convention and a new practice is being introduced in our way of life. Military uniforms, face coverings, not identifying themselves. I haven't really seen sirens. Do they even have sirens, or they just hop out like on some gang shit, like drive-bys, like beating somebody up in the streets, just hopping out of a car and snatching somebody. I've done that. Not snatching somebody, but I've hopped out of a car and just started fighting with people before when I was younger. And that's the type of shit you do. That's what these people are doing. What else? Broad profiling as opposed to reasonable suspicion of a crime being committed. There's a spectrum there. Not that I believe reasonable suspicion allows somebody to kick down my door when I haven't done shit. But, you know, I acknowledge, again, I live in the real world. There's a difference there. This is broad profiling. And come on, man, they're snatching up women. These motherfuckers want to talk about a border invasion. Where's the border invasion? Is that woman on the street the border invasion? Is the fucking landscaper the border invasion? Give me a fucking break. You guys are talking about the invisible enemy. This is just like what the other side was saying about COVID. All this shit you're talking about, the immigrant invasion, the military invasion, at the end of the day, it's an abstract enemy. Now I know there are real aspects to that, but that's not who they're going after, right? So don't, when there's a concrete thing going on, when you see a fucking water leaking, okay, water main is broken, busted, leaking water. And don't talk about your neighbor's bathtub. It's got nothing to do with that. You're trying to reach into something that doesn't apply, and apply it to something that is very real. So motherfuckers need to face reality, okay? They're not identifying themselves. They're profiling on a broad level. No sirens, no badges. They're targeting construction sites, what we talked about. They're targeting landscaping workers, hardware stores. They also do quick operations in and out, right? Not like when you get pulled over in the street and then they run your license and wait there, talk to you 30 minutes, right? This is, they act like they're doing something illegal. They act like criminals. I know, I've acted like this. Hop out the whip, do what you gotta do and get the fuck out of there, you know? That's what these people are doing. They act like criminals. They move like that. They should be treated like that. The mace and tear gas, like beyond riot control tactics, right? These aren't real policing tactics. And anyway, let me not just talk shit. Let me show you, right? Let's look at some of these. Okay, I guess we'll start with this one now. Did I say I was better at producing these? It's not that easy. ICE breaking into people's homes now. So this, I don't know the backstory, but you could hear it.
Police! Get up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Manos arriba! Manos arriba! Venga aquí! Venga aquí! Sal para afuera con las manos arriba! Salga para afuera! No te muevas! Manos arriba! Sal para afuera! Sal para afuera! Volteate! Volteate!
Now this guy could be a bad dude, right? I don't know at the end of the day.
Sal para afuera! Sigue caminando! Hands up! Sal para afuera!
We hear the baby crying in the background.
Sigue!
Internet slowing down on me. Yeah. It was really upsetting to me, you know? At the end of the day, who knows who this guy is? And it goes on like that, but maybe it's better that we don't just listen to a baby crying like that, because it's upsetting to me, you know? I full screened and now I can't get out because my camera's covering it up. Okay, I'm learning. I'm a producer in training. So there's a little break, right? ICE secret police shoots a priest point blank in the mouth with a tear gas grenade. Is that what this is? Right at his face. Okay. Now I am gonna make this full screen. Fuck it if I gotta switch it later, because this is crazy to me. Steps up to him with an attitude and shoots whatever that is. Look, it doesn't matter if it's a pillow. You should get shot dead for something like this. Shot dead. 100%. Unbelievable disrespect. And you see this guy, listen, I know that sometimes you can get pushed too far, and I don't believe just because you work for an institution that you should be, spit on or something like that. That's not what this is. The guy's standing there with a sign on a street. The person that perpetrated this should be shot dead. Okay, 100%. Next video. Aurora police ignore ICE vehicle with no plates. Oh, space button doesn't play it. It does.
Chicago! No place!
Aurora's near Chicago, by the way. For
Plates
those
on that truck. Is there anything you can do about that?
No, it's a federal agent.
They still have to follow the Illinois law.
They're law enforcement. There's nothing I can do.
He said, no, it's a federal agent. I can't do anything about it. So, and that's the way it is. This is why I've always been against all of these institutions of police and order followers, because at the end of the day, the big dog comes and fuck what the laws are. They can't do shit. Because they know they're the alpha. They're the bigger dog. That's what it comes down to. These are just boys. Okay, and the big boy comes around, and they're higher ranking, and they can't do anything, right or wrong. They won't. They won't go against these orders. It always happens throughout
You
history.
actually can.
There's nothing I can do. If you don't like it, go talk to my sergeant.
Yeah,
got the stripes
let's
on.
see who the
3
sergeant is, right? Let's see who's in charge.
I'm on the sidewalk. I'm on the
away
sidewalk.
from these vehicles.
That's your sergeant.
You need to follow my
Are you
lawful
protecting
order.
the vehicles? Are you protecting
I'm
ICE vehicles?
keeping the peace.
Are you protecting
I'm
ICE?
keeping
the
Are you
peace.
protecting ICE vehicles?
Understand this.
She said she's keeping the peace. That is a meaningless term. It's just like the word salad when you don't want to say. Keeping the peace could be anything. Anything that they want to say it is that basically says they're in control. That they're physically controlling people. Keeping the peace, right? You could say anything is keeping the peace. You could fucking beat somebody down in the street and say you were keeping the peace because they were going to do something. And at the end of the day, police is to pacify the population, to keep the civilians in check, okay? They're showing their true colors here, and that's going to become apparent.
Understand this. You ever heard of obstructing?
Yes, and I'm not
Okay.
obstructing.
You have to follow what I'm saying.
Under
here.
18 USC 111, I have to make
Listen.
physical contact with either me or my vehicle or be blocking
No,
them.
that's not what that means.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
She says that's not what that means. I doubt if she knows what that means. I would lean towards that person behind the camera knowing what the fuck they're talking about. And the police or cops or lawyers, they don't care what the law actually says. They know that, or I don't even know if they know this. They use the law to justify whatever they already want to do. They'll hide behind it. They're not actually carrying it out. So this is why we should not be respecting the U.S. Constitution and all of these codes, because they're not respecting it. We need to follow the objective code of actual objective moral principles that everybody has to follow, and not abide by any of these codes. Because what ends up happening is we're the ones who wants to see the badge number, and we want to see the warrant of these guys in uniforms. Fuck the warrant and the badge numbers. They should be shot dead in the streets for that. Treat them like the criminals they are. They're not following no laws. Listen, they claim to be federal agents, and they may be getting paid by the government. These are criminals. These are hired goons. They should be made to pay. And nobody should take that money. Straight up.
Read it.
Listen.
I've read it. I've talked to attorneys.
Listen.
I've talked to
Listen,
attorneys.
I don't mind you protesting, but I have to keep the peace. So
You're
you guys
protecting
gotta
ICE.
back up right
You're
here.
protecting ICE vehicles.
Whatever you want to think or say.
This isn't legal in the state of Illinois. There are no plates on that vehicle, not on the front, not on the
Sir?
back.
I'm telling you right now, ma'am, you gotta come over here. Why? Because I said, this is Aurora.
Because I said.
This is Aurora. I'm a Aurora police officer.
She said, this is Aurora Police. You're going to follow our instructions.
But you're gonna follow our instructions.
But you realize you're helping them in a way.
At the end of the day, I have a job to do, and I'm
The
Yeah,
job is
she
to
has
protect
orders.
those people that
okay.
live
I'm not
here.
gonna argue with you, but when I give you a directive, you're gonna follow it.
She said, when I give you a directive, you're going to follow. And I wanted you to hear that, because I don't follow anybody's directives. Anybody's directives. And that is my right. I never agreed to this convention that I'm going to follow anybody's directives. These people who think they can give anybody a directive to follow, you're playing with fire, man. And it's our fault for accepting that convention. I don't know. This lady, she may not be a bad person in that classical sense. She actually believes she has the right to this, right? These are not the ultimate mortal enemies of mine. I know that they think that they're doing something that they have the right to do. It's on us to change this. But make no mistake, I'm not following no directives. I have no obligation to follow those directives. I may follow them, but it is only strategic. Nobody has a right to tell anybody what to do. We're not animals. We don't need, and not that we can even give animals directives. This is so far detached from life, from just reality. We've accepted slavery and oppression for so long that it's almost like we're speaking a different language. But these cops, you got to be careful, because you can get caught in the crossfire. Look at this guy. I hate this guy.
Hey, so he's refusing to give the ID.
That's all right.
I'm
American citizen. All these guys, police, federal agent. It looks like they're playing dress up.
Where do you work at?
Don't worry about it.
I'm just asking.
Don't worry about it. I'm an American citizen, so leave me alone.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm
So
paying
here,
taxes and
what's
everything.
going on is they pulled over a guy with a clearly Hispanic accent, but he's not afraid, because he's not here illegally. He's documented and he pays taxes. So these guys can't do shit to him. And he's treating them with just a little bit of pushback. This is not anything close to what they should be hearing, but he is putting them in their place. He's talking to them like the pieces of trash that they are. And the two black, or the two officers that have their heads covered, who are more darker, I don't know. Maybe this is a mistake to judge people by their eyes, but in general, I believe that kind of intuition works for me, right? They're not as bad as this guy who is close to him, who you're going to see.
I have like hour and a half and just stay.
Even this rubbing of the neck, he seems to be a little uneasy what he's doing. He can kind of
Tú
understand.
nomás andas de pinche huevón agarrando gente, loco. And work.
I understand.
Okay.
He's just trying
That's what.
Thank
get
you
out of it
very much.
quietly. He's trying to de-escalate, because he can kind of feel, he kind of has some humanity in him, right?
And work for my family, and you fucking take the people out, bro.
Just look at me real quick.
No, me la voy a quitar ya.
Hey, so listen. If you can take your hat off, it'll be a lot quicker.
Ya,
Okay.
quítate la verga, pues. Deja tu-
He said, if you can take your hat off, it'll be a lot quicker. Now, the title of this is something like ICE Agent West Chicago, right? This is October 27th, so this is a few days ago. West Chicago. ICE agents scan drivers biometric without a warrant, violating 4th Amendment. So why is he saying that if you take off your hat, it'll go quicker? Because he is trying to scan his face. Now, we just had the story about the stuff they're getting from Paragon Solutions, right? That $2 million deal. And this has been brought to attention before, that these people are scanning, that they have access to people's phones. They're scanning their faces, and there's an overlap here between these people who are snatching people and questioning them on the streets, and then a biometric database. Now, keep in mind that, as I said, they're trying to deal with the unregistered. They're trying to get people registered.
Go work, bro.
It's fine. I'm gonna run your information.
Nomás se paró así,
Listen.
nomás se enfrentó así el güey, se me paró. No, ya.
So just call Elliot.
Ya, güey, I have to go. I have to go.
Listen, if you do this and you run it.
I have to go. You see my ID already. I have to go.
Just relax.
Relax. Estoy poniendo mi pinche tiempo contigo, loco.
They're telling her to relax. They're just fucking grilling.
Relax.
Tengo que trabajar y tú estás aquí quitándome el tiempo, güey.
Ten paciencia conmigo, por favor. Es solo
Paciencia a
mi
mis huevos.
Es solo mi trabajo.
Paciencia a mis huevos. Tu trabajo no es agarrar gente, güey.
Sí, entiendo. Okay.
Te mantienes de la gente que trabaja, güey. De eso comes. Se la van a pelar conmigo porque soy American citizen. Just leave me alone y ya.
Okay, that's fine. You're fine.
You're fine.
You're fine.
That's what the fuck you did. That's why you ran the
Yeah,
light.
look at this fucker.
Don't touch my car, bro.
You didn't even know how to act.
Sorry.
Don't touch my car.
Okay.
Yeah, don't touch it.
I can't.
Don't touch it. No, you're
No, I
not.
can't.
It's my
Yeah.
property.
So passive
It's my
aggressive.
property.
I would love this guy in the octagon. I would love to go toe to toe with this guy. This is a fucking piece of
You
trash.
can touch it.
Border following. Scared little boys.
What's up, boss?
Fucking pack.
Yeah, I've got him.
What's up,
Can you hear
boss?
me?
Okay, yeah. You know, right? I'm American citizen, so leave me alone.
Yeah, make those phone calls.
Are screaming in the fucking grave right now.
incompetent, lost little boys.
Get the fuck out of here.
You're out of your
If you
element.
guys don't have a warrant, you guys should not be doing this, and you know it.
Bicho muerto de hambre.
I'm behind you guys.
Yeah, they know it. Yeah. One more thing I gotta show you. Oh, no, I gotta show you this. This is important now. This is, I recognize these houses. I work in this area a lot. Okay, not a lot, but they're doing siding. This is how it happens. This is a week ago. You see, no sirens, nothing. It's just a.
Get the down. Over here.
Hey, be careful.
No. Hey.
No, Paul, no te caíste.
No. Le digo. Hey, I told you, puto.
No, Paul. No, come on.
Get the over there.
I'm realizing that my videos lag when I play both at the same time. Long term, I might have to do something about that. This is what I want you to see as well. The guys are right outside the window. Now, they're not going inside because they know they're doing something that's not lawful. See, a cop would have just went in. They're snatching who they can. See, she says close the window. Very good. But see, they're opening the window because they're trying to get that guy in and save them from. Listen, if this was a real lawful arrest, you pull somebody into a fucking house, no fucking way. The police they'll go in, they're gonna take that guy, okay? You can't get away like that if the police is actually operating like law enforcement. These are just like those fucking tow truck drivers that pull up, and when you go to a store for 5 minutes, they put the fucking cross under your car, they lift your shit up and tow it away. They act like criminals. They act like they're taking away people, which they are. These are body snatchers. Straight up. This is a gangster move in the streets. These are gangsters. And as you can see, this guy will get inside of this window and he will escape. And I know people, friends of people that I know personally who have escaped like this.
You have no
See?
permission to be
Look
on
at
my
this piece of shit pulling him. He should get shot in the face right there, dead in the street right there. You have every right to do it.
Bitch.
Yeah. Well done to the people who helped him. Well done. Now, you guys think these are the violent criminals in the streets? These are people working, doing siding, walking on ladders. Come on, man. These are the guys? These are the human traffickers? Give me a fucking break. Should get a brick to the face. You see how hard it is to deal with one person? Even against 3 people. This isn't a big guy. You notice they're not pulling no guys like me off the street. You know? These people are weak. These federal military groups. Paramilitary. Little hit squads. Or shit squads. They're not gonna do no hit. Yeah. One more video for you guys. I thought this was very interesting. Oh, no. We've got his face covered. I didn't intend for that. Let's just play it like this. Now, this it's a little bit hard to see. Unless I can zoom in for you. If you'll just hold on 1 second. Maybe that's a bit better. This is a YouTube streamer, Asmongold. And he is reacting to what we'll see is a Nick Fuentes interview with Tucker Carlson. You may or may not know Nick Fuentes. You probably know Tucker Carlson.
The other thing I'm really worried about is what's happening at these ICE detention centers, where it's happening not far from where I live in Broadview, Illinois, where they set up an ICE detention facility. And the administration is rounding these people up, which I support, but they're doing it in a very provocative way. They're broadcasting it. They're making hype edits on Twitter of like these raids on apartment complexes, which I think are very cool, but it's somewhat provocative. And Antifa's showing up.
Yes.
In order to protect ICE, the administration's putting DHS. Well, now they're protesting the DHS presence. And,
that's right.
And the administration of the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago are telling Chicago police, don't help ICE.
Yep.
And they're encouraging the protesters. And what I see there is like a level of tension that just keeps increasing.
Yes.
And there's leadership. There's civilian leadership on both sides. Like the governor and mayor, who are Democrats, won't back down versus a Republican president. There's a security division too, the police versus ICE, the police versus DHS.
You're right.
There's a constitutional question about the federal supremacy, you know. Yeah. And I see all the ingredients of like a low-boil civil conflict, full-blown civil war. Yeah. And I'm not that guy, but I see all the ingredients there for that to happen. So I'm deeply concerned about where that will go.
How would you?
Sorry if you were getting any feedback. I realized my mic with that may be causing some interruptions. I paused it because he now mentions the potential for conflict, civil war, violence. I'm hearing a lot of this, and rightfully, a lot of you guys have identified, hey, you know, if the people respond with violence, that's what the control system wants. They're just going to call in the Insurrection Act. They're going to call in the military, and it'll be, you know, we'll lose our freedoms anyway. And while that part of that is that is a potential threat, the number one threat is that people do nothing, just like they usually do. When tyrannical regimes take over, they do nothing. And we cannot always be worried, oh my God, if we respond with some killings here and there, then they're going to say we're violent, right? People are so a step ahead of everything, and it's good to be a step ahead, but we're too used to this fucking social media, Twitter, conspiracy theory, fucking podcasting, clickbait culture. This is real life. You cannot let people do this to people in the streets and civilians and take over society and implement the police state right in front of our eyes. Fuck them, shoot them dead in the streets. Don't be worried about civil war, insurrection. Listen, your children's generation is gone. It's going to be gone. You're going to not leave a future for them. Grow some fucking balls. Try to find some guts, man. Now Tucker Carlson's going to ask him how he would handle that. How would he handle it if he's in charge, right? And I want you to see the reaction of this streamer, Asmongold, and of Nick Fuentes. So you could hear what a percentage of the population is thinking right now.
How would you handle it if you were in charge? If you're the president, what do you do about that?
I think, maybe this is controversial, but they have to crush the other side.
Oh. That's right. Oh, that's right. 100 fucking %. Absolutely.
They have to, because you can do one of two things. You cannot challenge the left.
That's
and
right.
let them do their thing.
And then they're going to just run you over, and eventually when they get power, they're going to crush you.
Or you can utterly confront them and defeat them. And
you destroy them completely. Destroy everything about them. Put the mayors in jail. Put the governors up on the Insurrection Act for sedition. Put all of the people that were doing the shit in front of the detention centers. Put them in mandatory prison labor camps. Any of them that are violent, authorize the police officers to respond with violence to them. Immediately, completely shut it down. Bring in the military if you need to. Bring in the National Guard. Do whatever you need to do. Look and find find out who's funding this, take those people, charge them with incitement for terrorism, put them in Guantanamo Bay. Like, I'm talking about scorched earth, Old Testament, get them the fuck out. That's what I would do.
Okay, yeah. So, on one hand, this is a streamer, right? So, maybe we shouldn't take so much stock into what he says, but I appreciate him for saying that, because that is what a lot of people think. That is what people usually do when they're pushed far enough. There's a section of people, they've done nothing long term. They've seen the country slip away, and when they see just a bit of this resistance, they latch onto it. They jump onto it to try to regain what they have seen slip away. But it is actually a bait and switch. The people in 1930s Germany, they were seeing their country slip away as well, and it's true, their country was slipping away. There was a conspiracy. There was an elite at the top that was driving Germany into bankruptcy and into collapse. That was true what Hitler said in those times. The bait and switch was, those were his owners the whole time. He was working for them the whole time, whether he knew it or not. He was working for that agenda the whole time. And it wasn't, the perpetrators were not the people who were actually attacked during World War II. And that is the classic bait and switch. It is the same thing in Soviet communism. It is not the true capitalist oligarchs, the true, owners and banking elites that were attacked under Soviet communism. It was everybody else. It was a bait and switch, and you fall for it again and again. And this fucking guy falls for it. These are the people who end up bootlicking the military, and they're dead before you know it. It takes less than a generation, and these people, no one will remember their name. And if he has children, their children will grow up slaves. And he will just be another fucking coward whose name nobody will ever remember. And there you go. Let's go to, before we go to our next story, just to summarize what we've talked about with ICE, right? With these federal troops. And whatever the name will be behind these border patrol agents or people who are bringing in the police state in the streets of our country. If we as a citizenry don't step in to defend these people, to defend the immigrants, some of them illegal immigrants, yes. Still, if we do not stop this now, they're going to deal with the unregistered, the blatantly unregistered in the simplest way, and then they're going to move on to the underregistered, to us. The unvaccinated, they're going to move on to. The people who don't have a real ID. The people who are gun owners, maybe. The people who don't have a Facebook account, right? If you don't use cloud service and they don't have that information, you're going to be the person stopped on the street. Because that's where this goes. These people who they're removing now in the streets, the Hispanics in the streets, they're not the threat. They've never been the threat to this system. It is the second and third and fourth wave that is the real action taken, right? This is just the beginning. But this is where you have to put a stop to it, because it'll be too late later when you're the demographic that's under attack. Because when you're the demographic that's under attack, you're going to have people looking at you like this, talking about you like that, and there's going to be nobody in front of the camera or with a gun ready to fight for your rights. I'm trying to be that guy fighting for these people's rights, because ultimately I'm fighting for my rights. I'm doing this for myself. Everything I do is selfish, because I truly care about this world, the future generations, and all of the children out there. Not because I'm some sort of a holy fucking being, because I'm just a real fucking selfish man. And I want to live in a good world where we take care of all the innocent, because I can. Because I was given the gift of life. And I was given a fucking able body and mind. And I was given a set of balls and a lot of guts to deal with these fucking cowards straight the fuck up. So they're going to move on to the underregistered. They're going to move on to us. Remember the pandemic? And the 2 weeks to stop the spread, it turned into multiple years. It turned into over a year. If mask wearing everywhere was accepted at that time, we'd still be wearing masks now. It will be going on to this day. Once an encroaching government starts to acquire that power to go after its most marginal opponents, right? It goes after the fringes of society. After it does and takes out the most extreme, then they start to turn inward, like peeling back the layers of an onion, and they go inner and closer, moving closer and closer to its own body, its own host, closer with the control. And you're going to reduce the population, like you see on the Georgia Guidestones. They're going to reduce the world population of 500,000, 15-minute cities and all of that. I mean, how can you people fall for this? How can these people have fallen for this? This is being implemented in front of our eyes. And then the enemy will just have a different face. It's brown today, it'll be white tomorrow. Just like in George Orwell's 1984, the enemy of the government of that time, it shifted. And because because they were controlling information, it's actually very technocratic what they had. We don't even have to talk about Brave New World. Just 1984, the way they could change the language and burn books and take away information. I mean, this is what AI can do at this point. Not just AI, but just the digital internet information system. It could be done already. It is being done already. Everything is temporary, right? People don't have websites saved on their fucking computer. People just go live on their websites like I do now. What if they switch this? That's happened today. One of these videos got taken down that I wanted to show you. I don't even remember what it was, but it got fucking taken down. That's how it happens. And in 1984, the people didn't even notice that the narrative of their enemy has completely changed. That's tyranny, man. That's the police state. An encroaching government will move in like a parasite, destroying its host. It's going to go all the way up until it attacks even its most loyal members. And it eats itself in the end. That is the anatomy of human destructiveness, as Michael Tsarion has said it. Michael Tsarion, who is leaning conservative nowadays. Imagine that. What a sad thing. But much love, eternal love and respect to Michael Tsarion. And Mark Passio while I'm at it. But those two men have identified the psychological identity of this fucking, of what control is, of what slavery is, of what abuse is. It turns inward. It is an energy that only consumes and never produces. People say that's what selfishness is. To me, that's not selfishness. I'm selfish, but I'm a fucking producer. I don't just consume. I'm fine on my own. But tyranny is not. It needs you to function. Yeah, this is the nature of tyranny when left unchecked. It's cannibalistic. It's never going to give ground once it's allowed to get its hooks in and settle in. It never goes away. Another one of its qualities is that it's always going to be shifting. It's always going to be masking itself, and it's always a moving target, in other words. And the reason I say that is because I want to move on to this, well, really our last story. What do I mean it's always shifting? So a regime might have a set leader, like right now Trump is the leader, right? There might be a clear leader that never changes, Mussolini, Hitler, or whatever. A symbol that is immovable, right? But as far as who is actually doing the work, there's an element of that always being unclear and ambiguous and shifting. So you never really know who it is. They're always covering themselves up, right? The party that is actually doing the damage, it's like a revolving door for them. So the people don't know who they are. They don't actually know who these people are. Either they're shrouded in secrecy, right? They don't really show their faces, or there's a constant revolving door atmosphere where we don't know who to hold responsible for the violence in the streets, for the roundups, for the deportations. And that's why we get a president every 4 years. So we can't hold these motherfuckers responsible for their evil that they're doing. We never get around to holding the people in power accountable. And now this paramilitary Gestapo is exactly what's going on there. And we can call it reorganization, right? So let me just go to this story then. And Trump's we already had that. This article right here. Trump administration shakes up ICE leadership across the country in major overhaul, AP sources say. There's a shakeup. This has been reported as well, October 28th. All of it is from this week. The Trump administration is reassigning at least half of the top leadership at immigration and customs enforcement offices in a major shakeup of the agency responsible for carrying out the president's vision for mass deportations. I'm scrolling down because I haven't read this article yet. CBP officers, specifically Border Patrol agents, have carried out some of the most controversial operations as part of immigration crackdowns in both of those cities. They're talking about Los Angeles and Chicago. Including a recent raid in Chicago where officers were rappelled down onto a building in an apartment complex from a helicopter. Border Patrol agents have also hopped out of a moving truck and chased after people and conducted patrols in downtown Chicago. These kind of brazen and provocative actions that Nick Fuentes was talking about. And this guy, Bovino, this guy was like 4'8". This guy, Gregory Bovino, is himself accused of throwing tear gas canisters at protesters. He took the stand Tuesday. And this is what's going to happen, right? You're going to get a guy who gets some notoriety for being one of these people who is carrying out these violent and brutal tactics in the streets, the most egregious of them. And if there's enough heat on them, they'll just remove them. They'll just reshuffle them. And reshuffling is for confusion and for lack of accountability. That's why it's done. It's distributed liability. It's like the corporate system in itself, like an LLC. It's called a limited liability corporation. This is the reason why you have a DBA and business names and all of that. Because when it comes down to it, the company has to pay the fine. The corporation goes to jail and not the person, right? So when people say a fictitious, a business fiction, a corporate fiction, right? We talk about like the birth certificates and maritime law. It's the same thing. It's so that you can hide behind the company and not be held liable for something, just corporate games and legal games to some degree. But when they reshuffle the immigration leadership, their officers, I've alluded to this before, this is kind of what happens in these regimes, is they'll have one group carry out a set of violations of rights, then they'll remove them, they'll bring in another group that'll oftentimes take out that group, and then nobody really knows who's who. This is very much indicative of what it was under the Soviet communism, right? Stalin was known for doing this, that the people who are in the most danger are the people that are closest to him, because Soviet communism, Russian socialism, it's characterized by distrust and just like suspicion of everyone, right? That this person is going to rat on you and what this person said, and suspicion and constant surveillance. And the person that is the closest to the leader is the person that is going to get executed, so that everyone who has that knowledge is now in another place. So there's no continuity. There's nowhere to grab and hold people accountable. This is the goal. And it's also like a shell company, a shell company where oh, that's not me. That's not my business over there in the Cayman Islands. I'm not the one who robbed all those people. This is just, I don't know who owns that, So at the end of the day, it's just so we could never pin them down. I wanted to point that out because that is an element that is definitely going to become more prevalent. Now, we, on the other hand, the citizenry, are always pinned the fuck down. We are always pinned down. With surveillance everywhere. It's already there, and it's encroaching, more so, becoming implemented and normalized. And we're going to end this here with talking about, AI and cameras. And I'm going to direct you to a video by Louis Rossman. I always call him Louis. His name is Louis Rossman. He's an awesome guy who does awesome work. And I've talked about this last week, no, a few weeks ago, about AI cameras leading to wrongful arrest. Well, this is a slightly different. Let me click on it. Slightly different, but definitely apropos. The title is Lewis looks at high school classroom, immediately loses mind. What the fuck is this? That's the title. 2 days ago. Gonna hit a like on this. Incredible guy. Awesome guy.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Somebody sent me an email that I'm imagining and guessing is from a school. This made me fucking sick to my stomach. And I don't have children, and I'm glad that I don't, because if I did have children, I'd probably be showing up at all the school board hearings, asking about this, and probably getting myself arrested. So this is from, I don't know if this is high school, junior high school, what it is, but look at this. Integrity means doing right, even when no one's watching. But yeah, we are watching. Okay, here we go. At Estrella Foot Hall is high school. So this is a high school, not a junior high school. Doesn't make it okay. Integrity means doing right even when no one's watching, but yeah, we are watching. Cameras keep us safe. Wolf Pride keeps us honest. We don't do good things just because we're on camera. We do them because we're good people. Do good because it's right, not because you're on camera. Be the reason that others feel safe. At least in this one, it doesn't say, yeah, but by the way, you're on camera and we're watching. This is so sadistic to me. You're conditioning young people to be okay with somebody watching them all the time. And see, there's a difference between, there's a number of things that I have a problem with here, and you tell me what you think. Number one is the idea of associating a camera with safety. I had a business in New York City for almost 15 years. What a camera does not keep my employees safe. What the camera does is after somebody walks in and shoots Kevin, Dan, Patrick, or Han, if that occurred, the camera would allow me to get a 2 megapixel version of a nice little picture of who did it. The camera does not keep you safe, right? It just allows me to see who did the thing that they shouldn't have done. Because most criminals are really fucking stupid. And they, if they weren't stupid, they'd find something else to do with their fucking life other than just rob people to make money. But more importantly, this is grooming.
Oh, hold on. Criminals are really fucking stupid. And if they weren't fucking stupid, they'd find another way to make money and not rob from people. What did I just say about these dress-up paramilitary guys in the streets? I mean, not to cut Lewis off because he wasn't talking about that, but I saw it in my mind as I was watching this. These are criminals. You're seeing these people in the streets that I'm making these videos about. These are the criminals. They're the same people who are gonna rush the Apple store and fucking steal the iPhones. Just fucking unproductive trash. And remember, if you pull over the wrong guy, you will get shot dead, motherfuckers. Try it. In the words of Mark Passio, try me, motherfuckers.
To me. You're grooming people to be okay with the idea that they're being watched everywhere they go from a young age. And that's far more insidious to me than me simply having a camera in my store that points at the front desk and the cash register and the laptop shelf. Like, there's a difference between knowing you're on camera and then having this type of propaganda. Cameras keep us safe. Pride keeps us honest. We don't just do good things because we're on camera. We do them because we're good people. Integrity means doing the right thing even when no one's watching, but yeah, we are watching. There's something about telling kids, but yeah, we are watching, that is weird. You're conditioning people to be okay with being surveilled. We already live in a world where there is no such thing as privacy. We already live in a world where they're in the public or private sphere for the most part. If you're in high school right now, you probably don't even remember what it was like to spend money on software. Like you just use stuff that just sucks up all your data. Think about it. If you're 13 years old right now, that means that you were born in 2012, 8 years after Gmail was popularized for essentially reading through every single email that you ever sent, ever received, in exchange for 1 gigabyte of storage and 25 megabyte attachments. Great deal that we had. You don't know what it was like to use Usenet and forums that operated on PHPBB that did not just suck up every single bit of your personal data and used it to sell you targeted ads. You don't remember what it was like to be able to drive down a road with your parents that didn't have an AI surveillance camera above it. This is being used to try and convince the young generations, being used to convince children that this is normal. It is your duty, if you go to this high school, to remove this. I'm telling you as an adult that being watched all the time everywhere that you go is not normal. And I'm telling you that it takes a specific, sick sadistic fucking piece of shit to look at children that are half their age and try and normalize the concept that we are watching you all the time. That's not okay.
I was only gonna play like 2 minutes, but I could keep listening to this guy. How refreshing to hear him. And he's done. Yeah, he's been in court fighting for a right to repair. I mean, awesome channel. And shout out to my friend who put me on to this guy, who I will not mention by name because of privacy. Shout out to my friend and all my friends. Where the fuck do I scroll? Okay, here's me. So let me close the show now with this observation, right? My concern, he talked about the children, and great transition to what I wanted to close with. I didn't even put it together. But my concern is with the generation after me. Obviously I care about me. I care about actually doing something that has purpose and making the world better for people, because I don't know. I just love life. I love the next generation. I want all the kids and all the animals to grow up in a great world, a better world than mine. I'm gonna enjoy myself anyway. So last night I was with family, not blood related family, but I consider them family. So I was with the kids, trick or treating with the kids. Okay, and it made me think of this: the timing of this government shutdown thing that was already, the foundations for that were a long time ago, but it comes to a head with November 1st as the first day where these benefit cards do not refill. There's no more food stamps. So it sets up this incredible symbolic phenomenon where on Halloween night, the entire neighborhood comes out and everybody can grab handfuls of candy. All the kids get handfuls of candy. The kids I was with, they got 40 pounds of candy. They weigh the candy, they got multiple bags, and then we do the bag transfer, and I help them out. So, not healthy, not nutritious, but it's food. We're talking about sharing food with each other. Everyone is sharing it with everyone, and everyone opens their door to strangers. Of course, not everyone. You could turn your lights off and you don't have to open the door. You could put a sign on your door that said, "Hey, please don't bother me," and the kids will listen. The kids will listen to you, and they won't ring your doorbell. Such respect all over the place. Like a respect for individuality, but a community togetherness at the same time. It's how it should be. And this is hardly like the most incredible tradition. It's fucking Halloween. It's like one of the simplest things. It's even got occult and satanic connotations, but yet it's like it is so upstanding and uplifting, even this. So people opening their doors to strangers, children dressing up, having a good time, having fun with their friends. Everybody can go out in the street. Now, it's not totally safe, right? You want to talk about a Halloween night, but what they fucking did to Shirley Lynette Ledford and Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, one of the most disturbing things ever. So that happens on Halloween night, and a lot of evil things happen on Halloween night, but for the most part it is an amazing thing what can happen, and it is so exemplary of the splendor and even excess of this country. There is excess to it, right? America is great, but we waste a lot of things, right? We throw away a lot of garbage food, but this is a tradition to me that reminds us what America used to be, what this country used to be. It's freedom, and it's an abundance of resources, abundance even to the point of wastefulness, even going overboard, right? And look, I'm not, I'm a romantic. I aim towards the ideal, but I'm not like rose-colored glasses saying that America has always been the best and is the peak of human of human potential. It's not. That's just how it is, the abundance of resources. And we can even do dumb shit like stuff ourselves with fucking Kit Kats and Snickers. That's Halloween night. But now the day after comes around and you get the shortage, right? November 1st, you have people's cards not refilling. I was curious to see what would happen, and I've seen some proof. I don't know 100%, but just people's cards are just not refilling. So it's true that to some degree the food stamps have actually run dry. There are some programs, like in the New York governor is directing some resources to food programs and so on and so forth. But the point is, it's real. It has happened. The food stamps drought, blackout has happened. Now, the neighborhood I was in last night, I don't think anyone there gets SNAP benefits. Not one person. 0%, you know. But in my neighborhood where I live, some people will. Some people in this neighborhood definitely get those benefits. But I could drive 10 minutes and go to a neighborhood where a lot of people get those benefits, like maybe 10%. You know, it's significant. Then I could drive like 30 minutes and then go to a community where most of the community is living off of them, is dependent on those SNAP benefits. Like that's part of their food. They would have to dramatically reorganize their life because of this. And I think it's more than you think. And it's not just the stereotypical ghetto black woman who lives off the system, because we all know that archetype. We all know those people, and that's true. Those people are out there that buy soda and Louis Vuitton bags, right? This, you know, but it's just like addiction. Everybody knows the stereotype of a crackhead. Everybody knows what an addict looks like. But what about the hardworking weekend alcoholic? A lot of these people that I work with, and the gambling addict, right? Could be, you know, a family member. Could be the principal of a school, the legal prescription addict. So many of them. And just like with addiction, the symbol of this Halloween night and then the November 1st morning, it shows that scarcity, abundance, violent imbalance. We're living in a time of violent imbalance in this country, in this world. Our foundations have been uprooted. That's what causes that imbalance. The centeredness, the stillness has gone away. We've gone away from our moral and ethical foundations. Yes, in politics, yes, in our institutions, right? Yes, in our government funding programs, but fuck all that. Fuck all them. Those are just the results. Those are just the symptoms, the dams that break. They're not the causes. We are uprooted in our moral and ethical foundations. And my call is to hold strong, to everybody. Hold strong. Keep your doors open to people, like Halloween night. But if anyone threatens you, tries to snatch you off the street, shoot them in the head. Leave them dead. I'm serious. Because they have no right to do that, and you have every right to do that to them, 100%. Because when it comes to my tolerance for these tyrants and cowards and bootlickers, just like Donald Trump says about those food stamps, the well has run dry. Okay, the well has run dry. Indeed and truly. And indeed and truly, thank you so much for joining me on this show. It's been This Week in Tyranny, and if I make it to next week, I'll see you next week on This Week in Tyranny.